Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Strong free agent market emerges for Justin Fields. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Justin Fields is expected to have a strong free agent market, Adam Schefter of ESPN reported. Sources told PennLive similar things, with Fields being near the top of the boards for at least 3 teams. Returning to Pittsburgh remains a possibility for Russell Wilson, as it does for Justin Fields, the other, Steelers, quarterback, Schefter said on Sunday. The Steelers have made it very clear they'd like to bring back one of those 2 quarterbacks. They've spoken to Russell. They'll be talking to Justin Fields, but there will be a market for Justin Fields. A number of teams are interested in him, and we'll see whether or not that includes Pittsburgh in his future. Fields, who came to Pittsburgh via trade from Chicago in the offseason, started the first 6 games of the 2024 and led the Steelers to a 4-2 record. He threw for 1,106 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and added over 200 yards on the ground and another 5 touchdowns. It seems the Steelers would like Fields back. However, Fields' market appears strong, and that could draw him away from the Steelers. Asked and answered, February 11. Robert Yeager from Canyon Country, California, with all the popular options of alternative uniforms in the NFL, have the Steelers ever thought about honoring the gold shoulder pad uniforms? I thought those were very cool / different than other NFL uniforms of the day. Answer: I am not privy to the conversations / decisions about selecting a throwback jersey for a particular season, but the uniforms you reference certainly were unique and part of my early memories of the Steelers and the NFL. The following is something I wrote for Steelers.com about the origin of those uniforms and their brief history with the franchise. In the late 1960s, the Green Bay Packers were the National Football League's dominant team. They had won championships in 1961, 1962, 1965 and 1966, and they had played for the title in 1960. In that respect, every NFL team wanted to be like the Packers. Dan Rooney might have wanted the Steelers to win like the Packers, but he didn't necessarily want them to look like the Green Bay Packers. In early 1966, the Steelers players had an executive committee that would meet with ownership about issues that concerned them. At that time, one of the issues was the uniform. John Campbell, a linebacker going into his 2nd season with the team, was on the executive committee, and he was the one who asked Dan Rooney to do something about the uniform. Mindful of how many teams were morphing into Packers lookalikes, Dan Rooney decided to make an attempt at something distinctive. That also was the time when the city of Pittsburgh was trying to remake its image, trying to get away from the perception of a dirty, smoky city. One of the areas being refurbished was downtown, called the Golden Triangle because that was the shape of the land created by the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers flowing into the Ohio River. Dan Rooney decided to incorporate this unique bit of the city's geography into the Steelers' new uniforms, and that's how the triangle design came to be a part of the jersey. The triangle was always gold, with the rest of the home jersey being black with white numbers and the road jersey being white with black numbers. But if the intent of linking the team to its city was a nice idea, the practical execution of it didn't always go smoothly. For example, washing the uniforms. In 1966, the Steelers' preseason finale was against the Cleveland Browns in Birmingham, Alabama, and they were to wear the black jerseys with the gold triangles, because the Browns always preferred to wear their white jerseys. But in laundering the Steelers' jerseys, the black bled into the gold triangles and created an aesthetic mess. And then, not everyone was able to make the connection between the Steelers' jerseys and Pittsburgh's geography. Midway through the 1966 season, the Steelers were set to play a game against the Cowboys in Dallas on October 30th. Like the Browns, the Cowboys always preferred to wear white jerseys, and so the Steelers were outfitted in their black jerseys with the gold triangles. Shortly before kickoff, Dan Rooney appeared on the Cowboys pregame radio show to promote the matchup, and he was asked, Are you wearing those uniforms because tomorrow is Halloween? And so following the 1967 season, the Steelers retired their golden triangle jerseys for good, but they still remain an interesting part of the franchise's rich history. Mark Thompson from Huntington, West Virginia, please tell me if this is true. Saw on Facebook that Hines Ward was finally inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Please tell me this is not a dream. Answer: I wish it was true, but Hines Ward was not elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2025. The wide receivers who were among the modern-era finalists for election in 2025 were Torrey Holt, Steve Smith Sr., and Reggie Wayne. The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 was announced last Thursday, and it includes C.B. Eric Allen, D.E. Jared Allen, T.E. Antonio Gates, and W.R. Sterling Sharp, who was elected as the seniors' candidate. None of the W.R.s who were among the modern-era finalists were elected. Jeff Weller from Columbus, Ohio: how is Sterling Sharp getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and not Hines Ward? Ward has over 400 more catches than Sterling Sharp. Plus there are Ward's other attributes as a player, blocking, etc. I'm tired of the Steelers' fatigue among the voters. Are there any other receivers with that many catches not in the Hall of Fame? Answer: as I explained in the previous answer, Sterling Sharp was elected to the class of 2025 as the seniors' candidate, and Jeff Legwold of ESPN.com wrote this about him. Sharp's career was cut short by a congenital neck condition, but only Jerry Rice caught more passes and had more touchdown receptions in the 7-season span that Sharp played. Though his career was shortened by health concerns, Sharp didn't miss a regular season game, 112 in all. He was a 5-time Pro Bowl selection and a 3-time All-Pro selection. Hines Ward retired with 1,000 catches for 12,083 yards. The players with more than 1,000 catches not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame are Larry Fitzgerald, 1,432, and Jason Witten, 1,228, both of whom will be first-time eligibles next year, plus Onchuen Bolden, 1,076, Reggie Wayne, 1,070, and Steve Smith Sr., 1,031. The players with more than 12,083 receiving yards are Fitzgerald and Witten, plus Smith Sr., 14,731, Wayne, 14,345, Bolden, 13,779, Torrey Holt, 13,382, Irving Fryer, 12,785, Brandon Marshall, 12,351, and Jimmy Smith, 12,287. Keith Miller from Canton, North Carolina: totally unimportant question proving I need to get a life. If a team scores a touchdown just as time expires to end a quarter, does the extra point count in that quarter or the next? If they don't score again in that next quarter, would the box score show a single point? Answer: points after touchdown, either the 1-point or 2-point versions, are untimed downs, and so if a touchdown was scored as time expired in a quarter, the attempt would just be tacked on at that point. In the way the NFL records scoring plays, the touchdown and the point after are not separated. Peter Hammerer from Baltimore, Maryland: in a recent Asked and Answered, you were asked a question about the number of draft picks the Steelers would have, and you wrote that it will be 7 in the upcoming draft. Everything I've read said they will have 8, 1 in each of the first 5 rounds and 3 in the 7th. Please clarify. Answer: I believe I was perfectly clear in the answer to that question. In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Steelers will have 7 picks, 1 pick in each of the first 5 rounds, and the 2 picks in the 7th round. Andrew Sherbick from Portsmouth, Virginia: we all know that the Steelers' 1974 draft class was the greatest individual team draft in NFL history, with 4 Hall of Fame players drafted and 1 undrafted player also being elected to the Hall of Fame. How many other Hall of Fame players were drafted by other teams in that draft class? Answer: besides Lynn Swann, Jack Lambert, John Stallworth, and Mike Webster, the only other player who was drafted in 1974 who went on to be voted to the Hall of Fame was Dave Casper, who was selected in the second round, 45th overall, by the Oakland Raiders. Steelers projected to land Najee Harris's replacement in new NFL draft projection. Among the many questions that face the Pittsburgh Steelers and head coach Mike Tomlin after a 10-7 season, the future at tailback is up in the air with Najee Harris expected to depart in free agency. Harris, a former Alabama star, eclipsed 1,000 rushing yards in each of his first 4 seasons. Touchdowns were hard to come by in 2024, however, as the former first-round pick totaled a career-low 6 scores. Harris's 5th-year option was declined by the Steelers last spring, opening the door for a potential exit this offseason. However, that decision hasn't been made yet, and the franchise could elect to bring Harris back in the end, according to a report from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. The Steelers are expected to return third-year running back Jaylen Warren, who finished behind Harris with 511 yards and a touchdown. In NFL.com's latest mock draft from Chad Reuter, Pittsburgh does address the position with Harris headed for free agency. The Steelers are projected to use the number 21 overall pick to select Ohio State running back Judkins, saving an opportunity to take a quarterback, Alabama's Jalen Milroe, for the second round. Judkins' open field burst, ability to read blocks and willingness to run through contact will make him a great fit for the Steelers, and he's a nice outlet for quarterbacks out of the backfield, Reuter wrote. Remember, Najee Harris is headed for free agency. I'm projecting Pittsburgh will take a quarterback in round 2. Judkins, 6 foot, 219 pounds, helped lead the Buckeyes to a national championship as a junior in 2024. The former Ole Miss star exploded onto the scene with the Rebels in 2022, earning SEC Freshman of the Year and first-team All-SEC honors after racking up 1,567 rushing yards with 16 touchdowns. After posting 1,158 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns as a sophomore, Judkins elected to transfer to Ohio State under head coach Ryan Day. The Pike Road, Alabama, native earned third-team All-Big Ten honors for totaling 1,060 rushing yards with 14 touchdowns. And are you a fan? What do you think of Quinshow Judkins' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.